Pick the Nintendo Shack and pray. Frederick from Fire Emblem Awakening says, yo.
Greetings, Kooplings, and welcome back to the Nintendo Shack, your weekly dose of everything Nintendo over at the Play Some Video Games Podcast Network with none other than Rebecca, Garrett, myself, Donnie. We've got a packed show tonight, I think. Lots of good stuff. So before we get into it, let us thank those that support us over at patreon.com/PSVG. To our producers, Michael Masick, Barry Cathcart, Edwin Callow, Steve Keller, Nick Creature, Rude Days 93, Ben Moxham, Rob Emanuel, Nick Fallhaber, Paul Calicote, Kyle Hyman, Grouchy Surge, Devin Tyus, Josh Borboni, RJ Kern, and joining patrons this month, Horse Girl 69.
Nice.
Nice.
How
are you guys? Hanging in there?
Doing good.
The week after spring break is the longest week of my entire life.
Is it like the first week of school all over again?
It's been Thursday for 3 days in a row now.
It's like a work week.
Yeah.
That's
harsh.
That's kind of how it feels.
I feel weird because it's like I was spoiled with an entire week off. Most people don't get an entire week off for spring break.
Never heard of it.
But it's
What's a spring break?
Harsh going back to work after it. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Nice. Well, I think I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm ready for the weekend this week. I just felt very busy. We've been very busy at work myself, so it's just haven't had as much time as I normally do. But let's get into what we're playing, and if you don't mind, I'd like to start because I've been playing some new games.
Cool.
So first, I'd like to kick off with a game that I've already played before, and that's Doom Eternal, which I picked up in the Bethesda sale and half off. There's tons of sales right now, by the way. There's like a Warner Bros. Sale, there's a Lego sale, there's like everything right now on the eShop is basically on sale. So if you've been wanting to buy some stuff, like there's so many spring sales, definitely go check out the eShop. Doom Eternal. I mean, I was really interested in this one because I'm not sure how much you guys listen to me on other shows. I absolutely love this game. I think it's one of the best shooters I've ever played, in all seriousness. Like, technically, it's quite impressive. And it's transitioned to Switch. I mean, obviously, I've already, like, when the game was announced, when it released, I'd looked up reviews and, we've covered it on the show. So I already knew, like, what I was getting into in terms of, like, you realize it's a tablet, it's not a console, so it's going to have resolution issues and everything. Mm-hmm. Color me impressed with how much of the game makes it over and how much of it still feels like Doom Eternal.
Panic button's magic, right?
In far better way than I've seen them do in their previous works. Doom Eternal is way better than Doom on Switch. Like, it's way better than Wolfenstein. I personally don't even really count Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein's rough.
Yeah, Wolfenstein's rough on Switch. Doom was good on Switch. Like, Doom, it was like, I can't believe we have Doom like this on Switch, right? Even with all of its shortcomings. Yeah, I think so.
They did? Okay.
I think so. And with Doom Eternal, I'm like, this is kind of crazy. Because here's the thing, the resolution is bad. Like, it's muddy, right? It's blurry. Blurry is the better way. It's really blurry. It's worse on portable than it is docked, I think.
Ooh.
In portable, I have one egregious thing to say about portable. The cutscenes in portable play are horrendously bad. Like, it reminds me very much of when WWE came out on Switch and I bought WWE 2K19 on Switch, and like all of the cutscenes and animations felt like they were running like half speed. Mm-hmm. Like, you can tell it's choppy. Like, you can see it as it's playing, just video.
Wouldn't you think the cutscenes would be better than the gameplay, though?
It never is, though.
It never is on Switch, and it's a memory issue, right? I think it's a memory issue. Like, the
I
way
think
that
it's in most games. You see cutscenes.
Yeah.
It's much worse.
They get soft. Yeah, like once you get out of engine and stuff, they get soft. But like these don't even play well. It's not even that they're soft, which they are. It's that they are choppy. They're real bad. Here's the funny thing. When I was playing it, because I played maybe an hour just strictly handheld, a couple days go by, and I'm like, I'm going to throw it on the dock and play it there. On the dock, it cleans up. Like, the cutscenes are better docked. And I was like, wow, this is better. But docked, I know it's not 60, but the game feels smooth, which is everything in Doom Eternal. Like, that is
exactly what you need.
Yeah, like, you can't really play that game if it's not, and it's really smooth, way more than Doom was. Like, I'm jumping up in the air and, like, spinning in circles and shooting people all around me and throwing grenades and everything at the same time, and it feels like I'm playing Doom. And I'm like, it's blurry, but if I was trapped on an airplane with no internet signal, like this works. Like, this is fine. I totally, it's a portable version of that game. It's like in docked, it feels like you're playing a 360 version of Doom Eternal. Mm-hmm. So, color me impressed. I'm happy that everything seems there. Like, I didn't notice anything that felt missing. Like, the verticality was there. When I'm punching walls and stuff, like, I'm seeing effects and destruction particles and things like that. Like, bricks are breaking and their pieces falling, and I'm seeing reflections on the water on the ground and stuff. Like, it looks like Doom Eternal, and just
there's a lot going on in that game. So that's
half the resolution. The geometry in Doom Eternal is nuts. That's probably my favorite thing about it, and I think that's the reason why I like that game so much is the reason that so many people apparently don't, is that I love the platforming. Like, scaling these buildings and hopping, from one building to the next and then coming all the way back down like a tower and hitting all these different platforms while you're fighting off waves of hell monsters. This is super fun. So, would I recommend you play there? No. If it's the only place can you play there, like, would I recommend it? Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you only have a Switch, get Doom Eternal, because, I think this is up there with the best ports of first-person shooters that we've had. Like, I would throw this up there with Overwatch, which I also thought was a really good port. For all the concessions that it obviously has to make. I still think Fortnite's the best shooting experience, only because Fortnite just seems built for lower tech hardware than these other games do. But that aside, really, really liked it.
Well, good on them.
Yeah.
For making a good port.
Happy I spent $30.
Yeah.
I had eBay bucks, so I didn't spend anything.
What does that even mean? eBay
So
bucks?
when you buy things, or when I buy things on eBay, I signed into eBay Rewards, and it's just like a credit card. As you buy things, you rack up points.
You get credit.
And it's like they cash out like every 4 or 5 months. So it's random when I never even know, right? They just so happen to cash out. And I was like, holy snap. Like, well, I've got money. It's on sale. I got nothing else to do. Might as well check out Doom. Cool. So, yeah, I was happy with it. The other game that I've been playing is Star Wars Republic Commando, which I was excited to get into because so many people love this game. This one I'm not quite as impressed with. It's fine. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm playing it. I do enjoy kind of what it feels. It feels like I'm playing an old Halo game. Like,
it's showing its age, though.
It's so blatantly feels like a Halo game. Like, it's
okay.
It's a corridor shooter. Like, you've got the visor HUD, the helmet and everything. Like, it just feels like that, which is cool that you're playing it on the go. Here's the thing. I expected, I think, a little bit more from the port. Like, when I've seen footage of this game, it's like remastered, although they're not calling it remastered. But like on other consoles, it's remastered. On Switch, legit feels like I'm playing an original Xbox game on Switch, which is fine. Like, I'm not bashing it because it isn't good enough. But really, like, I was expecting something more like Turok. Like Turok and Turok 2, right, or N64 games that were remastered that are on Switch. Right. They look great. They look amazing, and they're super fun to play. I was expecting something like that. Like, I don't mind that it looks dated, but, like, let's make it look real sharp. Let's make it look real bright. Let's make it look real crisp. It's not. It just feels like I'm playing, like, an emulated game. Like an old, like the game as it originally was.
So the people who are porting these Star Wars games onto Switch and other consoles right now, Aspyr, they're known to do this. Like with the Star Wars Jedi Outcast or Jedi Knights or whatever. All the previous Star Wars games that are porting into Switch, they're just doing the same thing here. It's just HDified. It's like literally like the Super Mario 64 HD, right?
Yeah.
What we have. So
yeah,
that's what they're doing.
It's fine. I'm still playing it. I've yet to see. I almost. You hear me hesitate in my voice. I almost hate to say anything negative about a Star Wars thing because like Star Wars just isn't really my thing, you know? Yeah, it never really has been. I've yet to see why people love this game so much so far. I'm like 2 hours into it and I'm like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just like, it's your standard first person shooter affair, right? Like we've done this, thousands of times by now. Like what makes it special? What makes it people? There's so many people leading up to this game's release. I've seen 20 tweets. My favorite Star Wars game ever.
You're gonna have to talk to Jason, man.
And I'm like,
the Star Wars hype about it.
And that's it.
I'm
playing it. And I'm like, I don't get it. But that aside, I'm really digging it. And then I have been playing the new game that came out last night. I was going to ask you guys. Do you guys want to talk about that now, or do you want to talk about it when the news hits?
Now.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I've been playing Pac-Man 99, which you guys have as well. So
yeah.
Go ahead. Tell me what you guys think.
I'm addicted. I
love it.
I was very lukewarm about Pac-Man 48 hours ago, and now I'm totally in. I played it so late last night. I had dreams about it.
When it came out, I was pretty hyped because I do like my Pac-Man. I've got Pac-Man 256, and I had the Pac-Man Battle Royale game on Stadia, and I played I still have the old ports of the Pac-Man games that are on 360. Like, Pac-Man is something that we kind of do. Have you guys played Pac-Man 256?
I have not.
Yeah, it's super fun. I love the way it's laid out. It's like a 3D, kind of 2.5D type. Anyway, so I was excited when the news dropped. I think I'm more excited having played it than I was when the news dropped. I was like, oh, this is cool. This would be fun for Pac-Man. And then actually playing it, it's like my thumb's kind of sore.
Oh.
It's like I've been playing it a lot. It's like, oh, this is real good. I bought the unlock and a couple themes.
You did. I didn't buy any of the DLC. I don't think I will.
Neither.
Maybe I will, but I probably won't.
The unlock.
I like it.
So $29.99, you'll get everything, or you can unlock all the modes for $15, and then the themes are like $1.50 each or $2, something like that. But the unlocks allow you to play the game locally, like offline. So you can play against the computer and stuff. So if you're on the bus or you're on the go, if you're traveling with your Switch and you can't connect, then at least you can kind of still play on your own. And it's got levels and you can scroll up the difficulty and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Sorry to interrupt you.
I like it a lot more than Tetris 99, and I think that's because I'm better at this.
Me too.
Seems easier.
I can consistently score in the top 10 pretty much every time.
The strategy is kind of there. It's kind of simple compared to Tetris. I think it's kind of simple you just try to rack up the big balls and rack up the ghosts as much as you can.
It took me a couple rounds to realize what the strategy was and how it's different than regular Pac-Man. And I think once I started treating it as this is going to sound kind of weird, but I described it as almost like a resource management type game where you have to balance between, making sure you're using what are the little white ghosts called that you use for the trains and the...
what do they call? They call them jammers?
Jammers, you're right. Yeah, that's what they called them. Making sure that you're using those effectively, making sure that you're using the power pellets effectively, that you're really taking advantage of everything that it gives you.
Do you both have wins?
No,
Yes.
I do. I don't.
I have 4 seconds and no wins. So I want to make sure that at least I have the loop right. So what I do is I just eat all the stuff until I get enough ghosts out there. Then I hit all the jammers when I'm about to get the power up to chomp all the ghosts.
Yeah.
And I just kind of keep doing that over and over and over again.
And
Generally, I go for the jammers. I make sure that I'm taking full advantage of the jammers. That they're never whenever they're available, I go for them just to keep going. And I'll let the trail go for as long as I can, and then do a huge wipe of. And then you could hear I'm knocking people out by doing that.
Yeah.
Especially when it gets close to the end, in the top 20 or so, you'll hear knockout. And I'm using the attack knockout. For the first half, I use knockout, and then for once it's in the top 25, 30, I use counter.
Wow,
Oh.
so I do the opposite. I'm literally the entire opposite. I start the game in counter, and when I hit the top 10, then I just go full. Let's knock folks out.
I don't even change that at all. I didn't even realize that. I mean, I saw them on the side. I was like, yeah, I don't have to worry about it. I just
gotta go after the good people because there's good people and
Yeah.
yeah, and just kind of making sure and like I will pick up a power pellet even if I'm not near any of the ghosts just to get rid of
Yes.
the ones that slow you down to like kind of clear the board.
Yep.
And then I'm just it's kind of like a loop of like okay, first I get the jammers, then I collect pellets to spawn another fruit, then I'll hit like some power pellets along the way, eat the ghosts, and then like once I have there is a maximum for the chain of the jammers behind. I found out you'll eventually be able to stop picking up jammers after the ghost chain is a certain length. You have to go get the ghost after a while.
Okay.
You can't make it infinitely long. I think it's like 4 cycles or something.
Wow. I was gonna say I think I've only done like 2. Maybe I need to
I wanted
do
to see how
longer
far I could-
cycles.
how many jammers I can
I
get
never went
behind them.
past
I think
one cycle. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
wow.
it's 4 cycles.
Wow,
so like
Rebecca's so
8
much better than me
8
at this.
total rows.
That's how she
is what
won.
it was.
That's
Yeah,
actually
Ed's saying he's using the
And then I
D-pad.
came in second like 4
Using the
times in a
D-pad as well,
row.
yeah.
I've gotten a
Yeah.
bunch of seconds and I can get in the top 20. You know, I when I first got started, I finished my first round. I finished like 9th, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great."
That's pretty
And
good.
then like the next 10 rounds, I don't think I broke the top 50. I was like, "Damn it! Like, what's happening? I'm getting worse." And then
It's a lot.
today I kept playing like in between work breaks and emails, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's really really good. I really like it. It'll stick around, you know, like it'll be like Tetris 99, like whenever they pop it out into the Switch Online or whatever, like you can buy the game and play it. So I saw some folks on Twitter, they were scared. They're like, is this going to disappear like after
Go
like
away,
Mario? It's like, no,
People are panicky.
this is a whole different thing, guys. Like it's a different publisher and everything else. This is just more like it's going to be a free to play game anyway, but this is like an early access type thing is what you're getting with your Nintendo Switch Online. But the themes are really cool. But I saw Ed, he mentioned he's using his D-pad.
I did that at first. I didn't even know you could turn it. I turned it off as soon as I found out that you could.
I moved to the stick because
Yeah.
this shows the error of the ways of my Ben Bach D-pad.
Does it? Well,
Yeah,
I feel like
definitely not going to play with that.
Oh really?
Pac-Man is meant to be like Mario is meant to be played with the D-pad, in my opinion. Pac-Man is a game that is meant to be played with the control stick because I think of like the
Joystick.
like the joystick, like
Yeah.
yeah, from arcades. Like I feel like that's how it's meant to be played.
Yeah, yeah,
It feels more natural.
yep. So I turned it and moved to the stick, and I was good. But yeah, like I can already feel like my thumb. I feel like I've it's like the first day you play guitars. I'm starting to build a Pac-Man 99 callus.
figure.
Yeah,
It's good. It's addicting.
it is
I'm,
good.
I'm
For
surprised.
Tetris 99, they had the events where they had like I forget what they were called, but where it was like a different theme based on whatever game was coming out, and then you could like if you got so many points, you could get the in-game theme
Yeah.
of that game. Do you think they'll do that
Yeah.
for this game, even though there's paid DLC already, like with themes?
I do. I think they'll throw in. I mean, it's a good question. I haven't really given a whole lot of thought. I just assume that I guess that's a better way of thinking.
Yeah.
I just assume that they would. I would imagine that they would do like a Mario theme or something like
Yeah.
that, just to spruce it up and give it, you know, a little special thing. And
Do you think they'll stop the themes for Tetris 99 or the events for Tetris 99 then?
Is Tetris
I don't
Bandai Namco?
I don't think so. That's
No.
the first thing I was.
No,
thinking
no,
too.
no, they're not. So I don't think they would like give up Tetris 99
That's what
for
I'm thinking.
Pac-Man because they're two different companies then
Yeah.
serving that game. I think they'll set out themes just because every time I hear someone doing a new theme in Tetris 99, people are back in to Tetris
Yep.
99. So
Yeah.
it just
Like just
create
back into it.
create an explosion.
I do love these themes. I said that like in the original tweet when they like, kind of flashed through a few of them. Like, I'm more into themes for this than I ever was for Tetris 99. And I don't. Maybe it's just because I like Pac-Man. I mean, I like Tetris too. It's just like they never. I don't know. They never did much for me. But like I already bought. I got Dig Dug. I got Galaga. I bought like 4 or 5 of them. I was like, this is cool. I got some of like the Namco Presents. And I was like, this is really really neat. I'd love to see like I would love to see a Donkey Kong theme.
Yeah, I
Ooh,
think
me
I just
too.
really didn't feel attached to any of the like the Namco games. I didn't really grow up with any of those. I haven't
Gotta
played
get
them
those
very
Namco
much.
collections. Those
Maybe I don't feel like I need
30
to
in
get
1.
the theme.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like original Xbox, like PlayStation 1, right? Those Namco collections, like, were a parent's dream. It's like, hey, give us $20 and here's 18 games your kids can try. Go figure out how to play Dig Dug, kids. I got a lot of those. So yeah, that's cool. And like I said, the news is that it came out. It's exclusive for Nintendo Switch Online. Jeff Grubb kind of was teasing everything. He was calling wild card all week, and then it popped, and then it was like, here it is. Here's your wild card, Pac-Man 99, which is a pleasant surprise. I really like it. I think I spent $20 on it, like all told, to unlock everything, and I'm happy that I have it because now I can play it offline if I'm, at work or something like that, and it's a really fun game. I like it. It's like Pac-Man 256 is kind of like a Pac-Man endless runner, and this kind of feels like that too because you can just kind of keep playing. It's just kind of endless Pac-Man. So
This is a mega one more game type of game.
yeah, yeah.
It's bad.
And if you really like
wanna
it,
keep going.
if our listeners really like it, I'm not trying to tell you to not play 99, but if you've never played 256, give it a try. It's cool.
The one thing I don't like about this, I don't mind if they have paid DLC for certain modes, but I think it's kind of BS that they have the private matches under paid DLC. They should have offered private matches for free. I think that's kind of silly that they don't. That doesn't seem like a mode that should be behind a paywall to me. That I want to play with my friends. I'm already
Yeah.
paying for Switch Online.
Yeah, but it's Bandai, not Nintendo. Well, I mean, they would be on Nintendo to then compensate Bandai for that.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm
In
for
private
anything that gives us more games for less money. Like, I'm all for it, but at the same time,
You do that with Tetris 99.
I'm not that into Tetris 99. I haven't
I
played
don't
it
know.
like
I've
a
never
year.
heard a private match with Tetris 99.
Listeners, let us know if you can have private matches for free in Tetris 99.
I've
pretty
never heard
sure
of
you
private
can.
matches.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's fun to play with your friends, but I could also see why it's a free to play game. I could see why they got to monetize it somehow, right? Like they're probably trying to make some money.
Yeah.
That's an easy way of trying to do it. It's only $14. But I'm with you.
Then you have to have all your friends pay $14.
Hey, I'm all
really
Mr.
gonna
Game
do
Pass.
them?
I'm all for it. Give me all the stuff, Nintendo. Like I want all the free stuff. I'm just, I can see how that's going. And Bandai's like, hey, we want this much money. Nintendo's like, no,
Never mind.
absolutely not. Maybe they will one day. Maybe they will. Before you get into some of the other games you guys have been playing, let's hit these Pac-Man 99 related questions. So G-Man writes, Pac-Man 99 is really awesome and feels like a good replacement for Super Mario 35. I agree. Now, what I want is to ask if COVID didn't happen, do you think Super Mario 35 was originally going to last a year and Pac-Man 99 would have already come out earlier? I have no idea, to be
I don't
honest
know
with
the
you.
timing
People
of
are
this.
suggesting that it was delayed because Pac-Man's anniversary was last year. So people are thinking
Oh.
that it got delayed because this kind of seems like it would be the sort of thing to celebrate Pac-Man's
I gotcha.
anniversary. Be
Okay.
45, whatever it
Maybe.
was.
Maybe.
Sure. Yeah. Kevin, after seeing Tetris 99, Mario 35, and now Pac-Man 99, what franchise do you think is the next one? What franchise do you want to see? And if you can, explain how it would work. I have a couple ideas. Do you guys? Do you need a minute?
I thought, well, one is an idea that I steal from I see a bunch of people talking about this on Twitter, and I think I just saw people in our chat just now talking about it, but WarioWare 99 would
yeah.
absolutely work. Put in a bunch of the micro games and then just have it micro game after micro game after micro game, and you keep going until you fail, I guess, and see who can go the longest.
Donkey
I feel like
Kong.
that is already an endless game.
Sean took my answer. But you're right. You're right, Rebecca. You're right. That
And that would be a
WarioWare
good
would
way to
work.
have- yeah, WarioWare on the Switch. That's not my idea. That's one that I just
In the
see
same-
people talking about on Twitter.
In the same vein, Rhythm Heaven Fever also wouldn't be like
Yeah.
the worst idea.
Yeah.
My ideas were Donkey Kong. I think Donkey Kong 99 works for obvious reasons. And then the other one that I wanted to bring up was Bust a Move, or aka Bubble Bobble, as most people know it as. Or even like Peggle. I know Peggle's not on Switch, which is
yeah.
really a shame. Why isn't Peggle on Switch? But yeah, like anything like that, like Bust a Move would be really fun. I don't know about you guys. Did you guys ever get into any of that?
I've never
No.
heard
Oh
of it.
man, dang! I love Bust a Move. Me and my foster mom played the hell out of Bust a Move back in the day. That was like her game. Like she hated video games to get into them, but whatever it was, man, those colorful little dinosaurs and the little match 3 thing, she was all into Bust a Move. So she got me into it, and I always liked it. So yeah, something like that, like Peggle, I think that'd be cool. Or Dr. Mario, right? Like kind of similar thing, Pokemon Puzzle League. $99 or whatever.
Oh, that would be really
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
stuff like that works really, really well. But it's, I guess I feel a little lackluster because it's basically the same thing. So I'm not like really going out of my way, with this or anything. It's basically the same game.
I was thinking, I think a lot of people are saying it, Galaga 99.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the best way to go about that, though? Because, I mean, it's just all about just the shooting the
Yeah.
specific kinds of ships, I guess. And, like, maybe once you capture a ship and you get a double shooter, it's like you get more power-ups and attack other people. I don't know. I would like to see what that variation would be like, though. I would be totally in for Galaga 99.
Ooh. So when I was thinking of Galaga, right? Like you've got the baddies that like fall down, right? And you
Yeah.
just kind of keep going. So I was thinking like Pac-Man, or not Pac-Man 99, like Pac-Man 256, like an endless runner where you're constantly like going up like an arcade mode, like something like an F-Zero or like
Yeah.
I was thinking in my head I was actually thinking like Mario Kart Tour, right, where you just kind of have like the screen, you're always going up, but the track and everything moves around it. Like you could do something like that just constantly goes until everybody gets knocked out or gets hit with something or, falls behind a certain amount of time or something like that. Like you could do something like that with like a racing game, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Probably.
Like an Excite Bike.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
I'm trying to think of other like popular arcade games, like Space Invaders comes to mind. I feel like they could do something creative with that. I don't know. It's a good question. I think
Golden
we'll prob-
Tee 99 guy.
Sure. Just give it to Donnie.
That's all I got in the arcade. I didn't grow up in the arcades, guys. I got nothing else for you.
Pong 99.
Ooh, that
Old,
actually
old
sounds
school.
fun.
Really?
Yeah,
How would
kind
how
of.
would that work?
Like if it got really, like if you were playing, let's say you were playing against another person and everybody else was also playing against another person.
Oh, and you could like get creative, like get multiple balls in there.
Yeah, like and it just starts to get
yeah.
crazy, and if you die, you just get knocked out, and some like the next person, you just keep going. Yeah, I don't hate that idea at all, Rebecca.
Pong 99, guys, let's do it.
That sounds kind of fun. That's pretty good. I like it. Pinball. Tony in the chat says pinball. Any pinball
Pinball,
thing
that
would
would
work.
Pinball would be cool.
Yeah, pinball would work really well.
Yeah, because that would be a good way for like attacking and stuff with
Mm-hmm.
things on your board and stuff, and then there's an easy loss for that. You just lose the ball.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like it.
Balloon Fight 99. Sean Capri says.
Duck
I love
hunting.
it.
Wave race.
99.
Duck
Oh, I
hunting
like that,
99.
Garrett.
No, that's a good one.
That is a good one. That's the one I want. I like of all the answers, Garrett. I like yours the most.
There you go.
Duck Hunt 99. We need more Duck Hunt in the world.
Yeah, we do.
Rebecca, besides Pac-Man, now that the pack is back,
Cool.
what else you playing?
I also recently I don't think I mentioned this last week. I think because I started it 2 weeks ago and I kept playing it this week. Maybe I did mention it. You can cut me off if I did. But I started playing Zelda Four Swords Adventures, which is the Zelda that is the multiplayer 4 one that's on the GameCube. A lot of people confuse Four Swords, which was the one that was tied with A Link to the Past on Game Boy Advance, which you had to have 4 people with link cables to play it. You couldn't play it single player. But this is Four Swords Adventures on the GameCube, which you can play it single player and control all 4 of the links just like in Triforce Heroes. Or if you wanted to play it 2, 3, or 4 players, you would have and then your friends have to have the Game Boy Advance with the link into the GameCube. Super janky, super
Wow.
like hardly. This is why hardly anybody has ever played that game multiplayer the way that it is intended. I'm playing it single player though. I bought the game for GameCube. And I really like this Zelda game. I'm trying to play all of the Zeldas that I've never played before, which is only a few now. And this one is it's really challenging a lot of what I like know about Zelda. There are puzzles in this game that are not in any other Zelda games. There are like there's a lot of, for as many differences there's so many more similarities to games like Wind Waker. They use a lot of assets from A Link to the Past and the Minish Cap. So it's like kind of those 3
Wow.
Zelda games in one. Have you played it, Donnie?
No. Yes, I have. I had it for a long time, but I haven't played it since GameCube, and I never finished it. I think I vaguely remember playing it the day that I had it, or like the first time I had friends, and then never playing it again because it's.
Yeah. So I think there's 8 or 10, I forget, there's 8 or 10 worlds, and each of them have 3 levels inside of them. So it's not like one big cohesive world. You're like you have like the hub and then you're jumping into the levels. So it's kind of like Triforce Heroes in that respect. Which I know a lot of people are more familiar with that one. But the
I like
puzzles are
Triforce
really
Heroes.
good. The levels are not that long. You're collecting these things called power gems, I think they are. They look like they're kind of like triangular, like Triforce looking rupees that you're collecting, and you need 2,000 of them to beat the level after you get to the end of the level. You're kind of going through and you're solving these puzzles, but there's story involved in it too, and it's bringing back Vaddie, who's one of my favorite villains he's from the Minish Cap. It's actually from Four Swords, but I know him from the Minish Cap. I'm glad that I'm playing this one. I think not probably many people have played it. I feel like this is a really good contender for them to port to the Switch at some point and add online to it. Make it like Triforce Heroes where you can team up with people for each of the levels. They're not long. It would be a lot of fun.
That'd be cool.
There's good levels in this.
Is it hard to control with just one player in this game compared to
I thought that
multiplayer?
it would be. The way that they do it is much better than in Triforce Heroes. So you have like on your GameCube little D-pad here, you can switch between.
Oh, that's nice.
They have like arrangements for you, and then you can use the C stick, I think it is, to switch between each of the individual links. And like if you're playing as one of them, the others can't get hurt. You can throw them across gaps and things like that, but more often you're putting them in different formations. So like you might put them in like a square shape, you might put them in a horizontal line, a vertical line, and you use that to solve the puzzles and to fight enemies and stuff. And
That's kind of cool.
It's a lot more natural than it is in Triforce Heroes.
Cool.
I'm glad I'm playing this. I'm playing it kind of sporadically, like just here and there on stream. It might take me a while to beat it, but the levels are pretty easy and they're pretty quick.
I expected that we would get a game like that on Switch at some point, but with all the ports and stuff that we're getting, like I'm not particularly sure, right? Like if all the rumors are to be believed, and we have the Mario 35th whatever, and Breath of the Wild 2, like
there's
I'm not
room for it.
I'm not sold that like we see Zelda again for like 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like Zelda might go dormant for a little while.
Which, to be honest, like, it just feels like it's a missed opportunity because this is, somebody told me this, that it's the only Zelda game, I guess, besides Breath of the Wild then, and the ones that are on the 3DS, like, the only, I guess, old Zelda game that has never been ported to another system. It's only released on the GameCube. It's never been re-released anywhere else, whereas every other Zelda game has been.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame, because it's a good one.
Yeah. That was my lasting take of it, and I was excited for the 3DS one when it came out, because I remembered it, but yeah, I never grew up with like local co-op players. But with my kids, we played a bit of Triforce. I want to say maybe half of it or so before my kids just kind of wore out, but they really liked it. Especially, they really enjoyed the boss battles, like teaming up and like basically taking my direction. Because in a lot of ways, I attribute that like on early Shack days back in like 2015 when we were basically getting started. I used to tell people, like, in a lot of ways, I used that as a way of teaching my kids how to play Zelda. Because they would watch me play, they would listen to me, and I would tell them like the things. I'm like, all right, here's what we have to do to beat this boss. Like, aim for the eye, go over here, light the torches. Like, we take that for granted because we've grown up with that institutional knowledge. But if you've never done it, like, you get the controller, you get dropped in a room, you're like, I don't know what to do. And I think for, like, my daughter almost beat Wind Waker completely when she was really into games, and Jack has beaten Breath of the Wild. And I think a big part of that was that multiplayer effort where I could show them the ropes,
Cool.
I think it's definitely the kind of game where I wish I was playing it multiplayer. It is playable single player, but it definitely feels like it's meant to be played with other people, which it is.
Yeah.
So it's a shame that I'm not, but yeah.
What about you, Garrett? What you playing?
You know what I'm playing.
I tell you, Ryza?
I tell you. Well, actually, I need to get back to that, actually. You're right, Donnie. Probably later this year sometime.
Are you even a real Terra Horizon fan? Come on.
Probably
Come
not. Because you're the biggest fan.
That's how I feel about Suda. Everybody's like, ooh, No More Heroes, Donnie. It's like, I've met some Suda fans, and I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can claim to be one.
Group yourself with those fan base. More Monster Hunter.
Yeah?
and it's been fun. I'm about 20 hours in now.
Nice.
And it's been really good. Yesterday I beat the flagship monster on the title screen, Magnamalo. He was super cool. One of my favorite hunts,
Sounds like Magmar's evolution.
basically. But yeah. Anyways, the monster's really unique compared to the previous because it has its own element like explosion, and it's super big but also really fast too. So he's just a scary dude overall. You have to dodge his tail a lot. He's unpredictable. He like goes up in the air and can just mash you wherever you want in the field. So he's really different compared to the other monsters that like flying type, a dragon type. Okay, this is a rock type monster. I know how to deal with it. This one, he was just so unpredictable. So glad I beat him yesterday. I have to beat him like 5 more times to get the full set armor, but at least I got through that. I played some with Kaiju on Tuesday and Saturday, I think. Yeah, and also with a few other PSVG members. Now we're using the chat. We're using the voice channel on Discord. It's been super fun. Rising up that hunter rank, the multiplayer aspect of the Monster Hunter, and it's just grinding now. Now I got to the credits. I still need to finish.
Wait, so you rolled credits?
Yeah. So once you beat the flagship monster, you roll credits, but that's when people say it's just getting started. It's like, okay.
Oh, that's like the prologue.
I feel like that's like a side like point to do in Monster Hunter. Like, yeah, you
I
roll
gotcha.
the credits.
Yeah.
Now is when it
Oh,
gets
so it's
started.
like Pokemon Snap. Like you haven't played the whole game yet. You've got a lot more to find.
It's like Animal Crossing where you roll credits, but it's like, no, you're gonna play a lot more than
I gotcha.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Is there
'Cause-
new content, or you be doing a lot of the same content?
No, there's more content. There's more content after. Like, there's a whole, like, I think 2 more lines of quests and new monsters to
Is
go
it-
through.
I guess kind of like in Breath of the Wild, where like you can go fight Ganon and roll the credits, and you beat the game, but there's so much more to explore.
Yeah, kind of. Like, you do have to face a certain amount of hunts and monsters before you get to the flagship monster, Magnamalo, to roll credits. And then once you get there, you'll roll credits. But, like, after that, there's so much more to do. Yeah. And so I'm going to keep grinding and get the best armor I can. I got my dual blades from Magnamalo, the Sinister Daggers, explosive element. Looks so cool. I can't wait to get the full set armor. But yeah, I'm just having a good old time. I'm playing it every night, just at
Nice.
least 2 hours, and just having fun. It is like an endless boss rush mode game, and I just really enjoy the action part of it now. I'm getting so used to the dual blades now. I tried other different weapons too, like the charge blade, and I'm glad I'm changing up different weapons because I'm learning how they work too and what's their advantage. The charge blade is kind of cool because it's a sword and shield, and then during some attack combos, you merge them together, and it's like a 1 axe. And so you're able to like refill the gauge to merge them together, and then you can do magic electrical attacks with the axe sword. And it's like you can pull off some really sick combos with that. And so in every weapon's like that. There's some sort of technique you go through, and you can do some massive damage to the monster. I also want to say the wire bug, again, changes the whole landscape of Monster Hunter, like ebb and flow. It's so much faster. It is way, way faster with the wire bug and with Palamute, the dog. You get to just ride on the dog and just chase after the monster. And normally when you faint, it kind of sucks because you go all the way back to the hub and you have to run all the way back to the monster. In Monster Hunter World, that was just a slog to me. But now it's like, okay, I fainted. Let's ride on Palamute. Let's get the Great Wire Bug so I can just teleport myself across the map. It's so much faster now,
Nice.
which is good. That's why I think it's probably the most accessible Monster Hunter game. It's just how
I still see
Matt
people
Fast it is.
talking about. I still see people giving it praise for like. There's almost like a disbelief that it's even on Switch, for how it looks, for how it runs,
It's
like the load
crazy,
times, the
man.
size of the world. Like there's a lot of people that are still like, this is nuts.
It's technically astounding, man. Like
That's
undocked,
awesome.
I'm like, that's it's just so cool.
I saw somebody streaming it. It looked really nice. Like the
Yeah.
color popped.
Yeah. No complaints with it. Of course, it's 30 frames. Of course, there's some like sacrifices they need to make, but overall, the game runs super smooth. And the loading screens. It's like 10 seconds max, and then you're just back to the hub or back to the world. So
Nice.
enjoying it.
Awesome, man. Well, we're going to get into This Week in Nintendo. We already talked about Pac-Man 99, so we'll just scooch down here and we'll talk about E3 being officially back as a reimagined all-virtual event that will take place June 12th through June 15th. The organizer announced that early commitments from various video game companies, including Xbox, Nintendo, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Capcom, and Konami. There will not be a paid tier for access to demos or anything like that online. And Doug Bowser tweeted about it. I got to tell you, I was like, oh, yeah. Doug's around. That's a thing.
He's a guy that exists.
He said, it's going to be great to get the video game industry back together with our fans this June. We'll make the virtual event format fun and engaging. Look forward to seeing you all in June. So, what do you guys think about E3 coming back? You excited? You hyped?
I'm morbidly curious what this is going to be like. It's cool that Nintendo is supporting E3 because I feel like they always have been doing it. Of course, they'll do their own thing and be like, "Hey, we'll do our direct and we'll probably showcase some games and have our own little section." But at least they're in that time frame. You know, they're scheduling it. They're consolidating into those days, right?
Knowing that we're going to see things from those companies in that time, that it's not like going throughout the whole summer and having it all stretched out. And having
Come see us on Tuesday at 2:45 and Friday at 8 in the morning and Saturday at midnight. And we're going to be over here in UK time. And
I think that's what I like about E3 is having it all in the same couple days, everybody getting hype about the same things at the same time and just knowing when to expect it. Now, I didn't even realize until a couple days later that it's like a few days like shifted earlier. Then so it like starts on a Friday.
I think that's right.
Then it goes to Tuesday.
I think it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
like
Tuesday.
Yeah, something like that. Whereas usually like Nintendo show would fall kind of around on like the Tuesday.
Yeah,
day.
I think they'll be Tuesday this year again.
So you think they'll be the last day?
Yeah, they typically are. I mean, who knows, right? Like, yeah, they typically are the last showcase every year. They always go last.
They're normally last showcase.
Yeah, there might be somebody that goes after them, but like typically they're the end of the presentation, and then but usually, I think Xbox goes first, usually followed by, or I guess in years past, like EA has kind of gotten out in front and gone first, but historically speaking, Xbox usually goes first.
Maybe
then what is it? Ubisoft, PlayStation, Nintendo. I think something like that.
Timeline always does it always like? Why do I feel like it's a couple days shifted? Why do I think that it like starts on usually start on a Monday?
The show floor opens on like Wednesday or something.
Yeah,
like
the show floor opens after the presentations, but I mean I'm just going off memory. Like I don't have it in front of me, Rebecca, so maybe I'm just wrong. But off my memory, I feel confident that like I think a few years ago we used to go like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I think 3 or 4 E3s ago, like they shifted to Sunday. I think the show started on Sundays, and then because I can tell you, I have vivid memories of being up late on Sunday nights at PSVG. I think one year we did Bethesda till like 1 a.m. or something.
Bethesda
I think Sunday
was
night.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah, so like I think that's been a thing for at least a couple of them, but maybe not. I don't know.
I would get very frustrated because E3 always falls on the last week of school, and I feel like take off any days on the last week of school because it's the last week.
Oh no, you got to come stream with us.
Well, I can't stream anyway. I have to help cover with Twinfinite.
Oh, Bammer. Blow them off. Shut time.
That's why I do it, because I enjoy it.
Aww.
The first Nintendo E3 with them because we didn't have E3 last time.
Okay. Well, Garrett, you're riding with me, right?
Yep.
We're good.
We'll pull the weight. We'll have all of our 3 viewers on Twitch.
I've never streamed a director E3 or anything like that before.
It's a blast. I mean, it's quite a lot of fun, especially when there's really cool things that you're really excited for.
See, I don't know if I would like it because I like to listen to the announcements and like.
There's a part of that.
Every word and.
Yeah, there's a part of that.
You miss a lot. I feel like
we've had folks on staff that when we're streaming and they're like, shut up. And they don't want to be.
Shut up, Garrett. right, I want to hear it.
They don't want to talk about anything. Whereas like I'll sit there and just like make fun of everything.
Yeah.
All
Me
of
and-
them making fun of stuff.
Yeah, me and Devin, every year for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, me and Devin always do Devolver together.
The Devolver.
And it is a blast. This is like my favorite time of the year is me, Devin watching Devolver together. Just literally, you just watch us. We're sitting there. We're like, what the hell's happening? What's
That's a good one to react to.
but yeah.
If I'm not working, I will consider.
Okay. Well, you don't have to, but it is one
But
of the, I was
I'll most likely be like putting up a sign on my door at work saying I'm in a very important meeting. Please do not walk in.
yeah.
And a Zoom meeting. And it's
For the
very
last
good.
4 or 5 years, I take off E3. My entire office knows to expect it, and it comes at like the worst possible time because we have a major event July 4th. So it's like 2 weeks ahead of that, and it's always, it's like hard planning. And I'm like, yep, I'm taking this time off. Like, figure it out, guys. It's basically, it's like my Christmas. It is there's no contest. I'm off these days. Whether you give them to me or not, you can fine me, you can punish me, but I'm not coming. Like, I'm off.
See, I'm pretty sure the 15th, if Nintendo's is June 15th, I'm pretty sure that's our last day of school this year.
Oh,
That's so
what a
late.
bummer.
I know. And I can't take off of that,
Goodness.
and I'm gonna have to actually do stuff on that day.
Oh man, I'm really excited. I was telling Elaine last night off show. I was like, oh yeah, because this is, remember, like she just got here. She's new. I was like, yeah, we stream everything. She's like, what? I'm like, every show. Like we're gonna be live for days. Like get ready.
Nonstop.
I want to be part of it. I'll try. I'm gonna try. Really
I
hard.
personally like hanging out with people and watching it together. I think it's fun with friends. That communal effort, and like with this program that we use, it's really easy to just share a screen and throw something on the side. So like the production effort that we used to do with OBS and everything, and getting everybody on a call, I think is going to be way easier than it was ever before. So like now I'm even looking forward to it even more because I think it'll be less of a stress. But I let's go ahead and get into this question. Sterling, what games? No, hang on. Is that the right one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sterling, what games do you think are most likely for Nintendo's E3 presentation? And do you think all these companies being involved with E3 is giving the show new life or prolonging its demise? If you don't mind, I'd like to take the last one first. I never really thought E3 was going to die or like go away. There were like hints there for a while, like they had to take the year off, and then they had their unfortunate event with the journalists, information that got leaked and all that, and that was bad. But like, I feel like there was a concentrated effort, like a groundswell movement to like E3 doesn't need to exist, and there's like a really tangible reason why E3 exists, and there's a real reason why Nintendo and Xbox support them. Like they're not doing it like just out of, I mean, the guy's kind of goodwill, but like it's to fund the ESA. Like the ESA is what puts on the E3, and the ESA is what lobbies on behalf of their partner membership for, laws and copyright and things like that. Like there's a reason why they're doing this. There's a reason why they're going to have E3, and there's a reason why they're going to participate, because I think there is a part of it where they want to support the ESA. Now, as digital times transition and we have directs and stuff like that, I do think, things need to be tweaked, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't need to charge somebody $50,000 to put on a trade show when they can just stream an event. Like I get that. And I think we're seeing that as they turn it more into a fan-focused event. But I don't think E3 is going anywhere because it serves as a giant funding source for the ESA to do what they do, which then in turn saves the partner membership money. They don't have to spend more money to be partners. And I don't think the ESA is going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because what they do, while it's very easy for us because we're consumers and sometimes the ESA can feel very anti-consumer, but what they do for the companies is very important. The copyright stuff, the hacking stuff, the piracy stuff, every time some senator gets mad about a game having a boob in it or violence or somebody's head cut off, right? Like the ESA are the folks that lobby support to make sure that those regulations don't stop us. Or if somebody wants to tax, Japanese imports 20% or something that's going to screw with the gaming business. That's the type of stuff that the ESA deals with. So like they're going to be there. And as long as they're around, they're going to figure out a way to have E3. Now, whether it becomes the core focus of the gaming industry to announce games or not, that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But like E3 is not going anywhere. I don't think.
I don't think it's going anywhere, but I think you're right, Donnie, that E3 needs to change somehow. And of course, with COVID and everything, completely forced their hand
Yeah.
with the digital streaming. But like, I think what E3 needs to be like is that digital streaming, and I really want them to grow from there, consolidate it to that time. I think that's what we like. PAX is sporadic; it's all over the place. They don't have a digital thing right now. And then all those directs from companies and third parties, the Summer Games Fest, it's all spread out. And it's just like, okay, we'll catch it when we can, or we may never catch it and just let it be because it's
for
not.
the highlights to show up on YouTube, on Twitter.
Yeah.
That was the case a lot of the times for last year. Like,
Yeah.
couldn't really keep up with all of them.
So E3, what it needs to do is like grow from this birthing place of this digital aspect. I think they need to embrace it. And honestly, at this point, if they ever thought about doing a show floor again,
They will.
Okay, so when they do, it'll focus more on the fan aspect,
Yep.
less about the press.
Yep.
I think we're at that point now.
And I want to say something that I think might come off as a hot take, but I think that's why we're seeing a trendy take from journalists to be kind of anti-ESA or anti-E3 is because they are kind of getting pushed out because you don't need, folks live
don't
streaming
need
there with
them
a set.
anymore.
Like they can just go straight to YouTube. And I wonder if that's a part of it. I'm not saying it is, but I wonder if that is a part of it because you can obviously kind of see the transitions happening there. Like we can cover the event. And we're nobody. We're all across the place. So we can cover the event. So, I think that's a part of it. And I agree with you. They're definitely going to do a show floor. It will still be an event. I do agree with you that I love the idea of, we talked about this last week, so I won't beat it to death, but I love the idea of making it a digital event as well. That could limit the queues, that could bring more people in, and that could offset a lot of costs for them. Like if they,
for
if they're not going to have the big stages and the big, maybe they don't need the LA Center anymore to do what they do. Right?
really
Maybe they
don't
can get
need
a
it.
smaller place, but through digital, they can still offset that and make revenue other ways. And I would totally give them, I said it last week, $25, $35, $50. I'm not going to give them $300. I'm crazy. But the price of a game to get early access to some developers, some publishers, some demos, I think that's fair. And I think gaming is definitely big enough that enough people would be interested in that.
Yeah.
Gaming's huge.
I think that would be a huge revenue stream for
Yeah.
them, and they're just not realizing it because a lot of people watch E3, like us, like all the hardcore gaming community. It's just we've never have a chance to go to E3.
I feel like E3 has even reached beyond kind of like it's becoming more of a mainstream thing. That and like the Game Awards, I feel
Definitely.
like I hear more casual gamers talking about it. They're familiar with it.
It's a part of the culture.
Yeah, it's not a, kind of like a niche thing anymore.
I wonder, like Keeley, if they could also take it to a place where maybe they could turn it into some sort of, I want to say television product, but you know what I mean, like a streaming service or something like that. Because they could have exclusive rights to something like this. They could say, hey, we're going to put on this event on behalf of our membership, and we're going to give you exclusive access to stream this to like Twitch or Amazon or, that's money. That's big money. If you could say like, hey, we're exclusively on Twitch. You can't watch E3 on YouTube. Yeah, that's big money for Amazon. They were like, yeah, we want that. We want you to do that. So there are ways to monetize this to keep it around. It just needs to evolve, catch up with the times a little bit. So getting into the fun question, now that we hammered out the boring business part of it, what do you guys think will be likely for Nintendo's E3 presentation? I made fun of Game Explain last night, Rebecca, because I saw Jeff Grubb's article come out and everybody started posting, and like Game Explain had a predictions video out like an hour later. It's like, Joey. I was like, they must have been, they were jonesing to get back on that train. So I thought it's friendly. It's friendly fun. I listened to it. It was enjoyable.
I feel like we see something Breath of the Wild too.
Really?
I think we see something.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, definitely. I think I would lock that in. I'm
think it's
sure
time.
we'll see something. Yeah, well, I'm
It's time.
sure
Okay.
we'll see something. Yeah.
I think we get a Smash Fighter.
Yeah.
That would
Good
be
call.
pretty good, yeah.
Wait a minute. How many more do we have left? Just one?
I think two.
Two? Okay. Yeah, definitely get another one.
I don't think we'll get both. I think we'll get one.
Will that be the next one? We won't get one before then either, will we?
We won't get one
Yeah.
before then.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm with you. Okay.
Bayonetta 3.
I think there is at least one surprise that we don't know about that's coming out this year.
That's
My
true.
best guess for that would be Bayonetta 3, but I mean, I wouldn't bet hard on that. I don't know. But I think there's something out there. There's a Bayonetta. There's an exclusive published by Nintendo that we don't know about.
That's true.
I think
I would like Shin Megami Tensei 5 to be there. I haven't heard that game
that could be.
as much, and they're supposed to come out this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worldwide release, like day one. So.
I feel like I'm running out of things to hope for.
Well, obviously, we'll have the Zelda ports. We'll see more Pokemon, right?
We'll see Pokemon for sure. Zelda ports, I'm not too sure on. Just,
Didn't we decide that we wouldn't see that yet?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm letting that go. Like, if they're going to be at E3, we're going to get Zelda ports. We're going to see them at E3. They're going to be dated, and they're going to come out this fall. I don't know if they're going to be a collection, a double pack. I don't know if there's a third game, if they're all separate. I have no idea. But those ports are coming, and we'll see them.
Yes. Oh, I don't think we'll see any Switch hardware at the presentation. It's not really in their vein to announce hardware at E3. I think they do that like afterwards.
So, okay, I'm going to rope in a question from Kaiju. If Nintendo potentially has big news coming with a fistful of unannounced games and a new console, when do you think would make the most sense to drop the news? All right, so touching off where
Either right
you
before or right after.
right where you left off. I've got two ways of answering that. If this hardware is coming this year, then I think we see it at E3. If it's launching in spring of next year, then it won't be.
yeah,
I
that
don't
makes
know.
sense.
I don't know when that'll be, but yeah, if it's coming out this fall, which some people still think it's coming out this fall, if it is, then I think we'll see it at E3, and if not, it'll wait.
Have they ever announced hardware at E3?
Did they
a
announce
good question.
Switch Lite?
Don't think
in
that
I feel
it's
like
not
they
really
have, but maybe
if
they
they have,
haven't.
it's like a long time ago that they did that.
And I wouldn't say if they have, it's quite possible that it wasn't like an announcement. It was like they showed it us again, right? Like they announced it in like a commercial,
Yeah,
and then they
yeah.
followed up with like a
That's what I'm thinking.
deeper
either right
dive.
Before or like
Yeah. And Nintendo has been, especially with the Lite. The Lite is the easiest one. They've been pretty quick on their turnaround from announcement to launch, especially the hardware. They haven't had like these long, except for the Switch though, right? Because the Switch they announced like a year in advance. So there's pros and cons to both of that argument. But yeah, I think if it's, I stand by what I think if it's coming out this year, then I think they'd probably show it at E3, just to get folks hyped up.
I think we get. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, especially if they're showing Breath of the Wild. Because you want to show what that can look like on new hardware. I think that's the important part.
They could theoretically just show it to us and not say any hardware and have people speculate, oh my god, there's no way that's running on the Switch.
Very good point. We talked about
good,
Shaq all summer long. Nate the Drake said it's not.
Jesus Christ, Nintendo just announced the hardware.
Do it all over again.
I think we see some kind of either Mario Rabbids 2 or something along that same vein.
That'd be very
I
exciting.
would love that.
It'd be very
I feel
exciting.
like it's time for that.
That might
I
be
hope
that
for that
other
last
game.
year, though.
I think there's another game. Like I see this fall, we've got these awesome ports. We got Mario Golf coming off the summer. We have these ports of these Zelda games. We have ports of Pokemon games. I still don't think Breath of the Wild 2 is this fall. I think it's next spring. So if that is the way I'm laying out the land, then I think there's another game in there. That's a perfect option for that.
Maybe
awesome.
2D Metroid.
No,
That's
I was
another
gonna
good
say
option.
No mention of Metroid.
I mean, that's always the safe
Zero
bet.
mention.
Rebecca's have the safest bet on the house.
You're not wrong.
Metroid who? Phil Nauer.
Him.
I think,
Did you guys know Metroid couldn't crawl? Did you guys?
Metroid King. I think there will be. Shoot, I had something and it went away.
I think the rumored 2D Metroid is that's a good
think
candidate.
that's-
It
Bayo,
could be possible, yeah.
It's
good
safe.
candidate.
Right. What was I? Oh, I was gonna say they don't really ever have Pokemon at E3 either. Usually that's their own thing. I think
Yeah, it's
they
usually
did
not in their
once-
direct.
They did
but-
once recently.
They did for what was it? Was it Sword and
Let's
Shield?
go. They did it for
Let's go.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Okay.
But
Yeah.
they don't really, and I feel like because they have already announced what's coming out this year, I don't know if they kind of like to
They
do
have their own agenda.
I feel like that's If it was Let's Go, I feel like that's what it was. Because I remember they announced it,
It was.
and then at E3, they were like, here's how to catch Pokemon. And we were all like,
They did
shut
it at
up!
Treehouse. They did it at Treehouse. They went on entirely too long.
Yeah, so they could definitely do that again. You
I
know?
think if there's Pokemon, it'll be at. Do we know if we're getting some kind of Treehouse afterwards? I think
We
it'll
don't.
be at that.
We,
We
we
don't
don't
know
know
that.
any plans yet.
I hope so.
Diamond and Play.
That would be cool.
I would really like to see Treehouse again.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, you know what? I say that, but they had that Treehouse event for Hyrule Warriors or Breath of the Wild Warrior. What was it called? Age of Calamity?
Age of Calamity, yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah.
they had that? They had a Treehouse stream for that. I didn't like that nearly as much.
That.
I didn't like
Okay,
that
well,
one.
that was not good because I feel like they were doing it. They weren't together. They were all over the internet.
Yeah.
Their connection was bad.
So if
Yeah.
that's the thing, then actually I take that back. Then I don't want
Yeah,
it
I don't
because
want that.
the Treehouse thing I liked because it was on the floor. You see people coming and going, and they have developers coming through and sit on the couch. It was like a late night talk show about games or something. You know,
Cool
like
conversation.
Yeah,
Felt
if-
natural.
And I 100% believe it's not going to be in person. So yeah, no, I retract that statement. No
Yeah,
Treehouse.
you're right.
That
Save
Paper
it.
Mario and Digimon one was
Bakugan.
Oh God,
Bakugan,
that
whatever.
was a nightmare.
That was a nightmare too.
I love
I
watching the
think it was like
internet
watching a
collectively
train
melt
wreck.
down.
That one was rough. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Diving a bit further into the rumor mill, Switch firmware got updated to 12.0.0 this week to no fanfare. There was nothing really in the notes. We didn't even get an icon.
There was
There's nothing.
nothing.
There's nothing. We got this big upgrade, this leap, and nothing happened. So Data Miner, Oatmeal Dome.
He does a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he does. That's a hell of a handle. Released this. He says he shared a few things. This update included the capability to flash the firmware of the dock. That's extremely interesting because
So weird.
our docks got nothing. Like the dock that we have, there's nothing to update. Like there's
No. It's
So
a
it-
plug-in.
right. There's nothing there but just a little USB board and an HDMI display port. Like there's nothing there. So it's like everybody's like, what? Well, what could that mean? Well, he goes on in another tweet where he shares a reference to CRDA, aka Cradle for Allah, which is what we're supposed to believe that acronym stands for, which is the code name for the new Switch model.
I feel like
So,
we're a
with
conspiracy. Just
Every firmware release that
point
happens, they continue to find a little bit more and a little bit more. Also today, I didn't add it to the notes, but today they also shared that there's some, they added some display drivers audio drivers for apparently Bluetooth support.
Did we? I
Which-
feel like we talked about that before. Did we not? Oh, that we put that on our wish list. Of
Yeah,
what
we
Wish
wanted
list,
Bluetooth.
yes.
I actually bought one of those Skull Company audio adapters because I got the AirPods and they're so awesome. I was like, I do want to play with my Switch like this. And
Yeah.
so then this happens. They're going to do the Bluetooth. And again, more evidence
it right
because
now.
our current Switches have nothing like that in there at all. So this is an official code that you can go and get off your Switch right now. So look to the future for awesome Switch times to await.
Switch Pro is happening.
It definitely is. Brendan
Yeah.
says, with the new firmware update and E3 coming back with Nintendo's support, do you think the Super Switch could be coming sooner than expected, seeing how the Lite was announced in July and released that September? I mean, I think sooner than expected. I mean, I think the soonest that we could expect it would be this fall, so I don't think it
Yeah.
would be sooner than that.
That would be crazy if it's sooner than that. It won't be.
I mean, it could be
so.
early fall. Like I guess he's assuming like it's a September launch or something.
A September launch would be kind of crazy, I think.
That'd be nuts.
Yeah.
We would have to hear about it real soon, I think, if it was going to be September.
Yeah, yeah. And then Borderlands 3 apparently is coming to Switch via Peggy Rating, where they drop that. It'll include the base game, the DLC expansion, including all new maps and weapons.
Cool.
Gary, excited about Borderlands 3 on Switch?
No, I did not like Borderlands 3 as much
I feel like
as
a
the
lot of
previous
people didn't like
Borderlands
Borderlands
game.
3.
Okay, I just want to preface. Borderlands 3 is a fine game in terms of gameplay. It's better shooting, better powers, you get more stuff. That's not the issue I have. It's the story, it's the characters. And then people say, well, the stories in the previous ones don't matter at all. It's like, that's bullcrap too, because I really cared about the characters and story in Borderlands 2. I think Borderlands 2 is a spectacular game. But anyways, Borderlands 3, I'm interested to see how this runs on Switch when it's like announced and coming out, because it's a hard game to run. Even though it's cell shading and arty, it's not like that graphically detailed. But like, my PC was struggling playing this game, so I can only imagine what kind of technical sacrifices they'll need in order to run this on Switch.
Hey, if Doom Eternal can do it,
That's true.
I've seen the light. Like if Doom Eternal can do it, then boy, anything can. So,
I mean, we saw Borderlands 2 on Vita, so it can happen. I Borderlands 3
may not
on
want it
Switch-
to happen,
You may not want it to happen,
but it can happen.
Yeah. I still recommend get the Borderlands Handsome Collection right now. Borderlands 2 is, I still think, the way better game than Borderlands 3, but Borderlands 3 does have better gunplay and stuff. So it's a good podcast and play game.
The last news bit I'll get into before we answer a couple questions is today, Grasshopper and Suda51 did host a stream in Japan about No More Heroes 3, and we did get a new trailer for No More Heroes 3 that was, if I could say so myself, excellent. It was an excellent trailer. It was a really good deep dive into the main cast, the characters. It looked extremely polished, way better than what we saw on the Direct. Like it's definitely an upgrade. It makes me think that Direct was, earlier footage from way earlier than we were expecting, which is normally the case. But you remember after that Direct, when I went back and rewatched it, I was thinking, it looks a little rough. Like I wanted to, it was a little choppy, a little edgy. It looks way better now. It's very cleaned
really
up.
cool.
It looks really good. And they also announced a collector's edition in Japan where you get all 3 versions, which I don't expect to come here because we got the limited run thing, but who knows? Maybe it will be. But if my hype level wasn't high enough for that game already, this definitely raised it. This was that put my entire mind at ease. Like, I'm super excited. I think it's everything I'm going to want it to be. I can't wait to go beat up Fu and everybody else and go win the galactic assassination rankings or whatever. whatever it is the hell we're going to do. There was a really great moment that I tweeted about where he referenced the low Metacritic score for Travis Strikes Again in the trailer. Claiming that the game was going to be one of those beloved games that everybody loves 10 years after the fact, which
It was pretty funny.
That's hilarious. We need more developers to be a little more loose with stuff like that.
He was
That
referencing
incredible.
Empire Strikes Back and Alien and I don't know, 3 other references in 5 seconds when the aliens came in. I'm like, really?
Oh, it's so good. I can't wait. Very excited.
It's good stuff.
Everybody buy No More Heroes. So with that said, Rebecca, would you hit us with a question or two?
Well, my question is, did you guys get your Animal Crossing Build-A-Bears? Glossed over that news.
Oh,
That was-
it came out last week, right?
That was news?
It was the Animal Crossing community was in shambles because they were expecting, oh my gosh, there are going to be all these villagers and all these characters, and they put out Isabelle and Tom Nook, and that was that. And they
Oh, it's
put
just
everybody
those?
in-
It's just
it
those
was
two,
just those-
yeah.
Though I think they're going to be rolling out more characters later in the summer or something like that. But a lot of people are very disappointed because they had these really high expectations that, the Animal Crossing collection, it's going to be
Like 400 of them, all of them.
not 400, but people thought there was going to be more than just those two.
At
So-
least 3
but
more.
it was very bizarre because they didn't say what was in the collection until it became available to purchase. They just called it the Animal Crossing Build-A-Bear collection. And so what they did was
Sounds like more
it
than
was
2.
releasing at 11 o'clock, and they put everybody in a waiting room starting at 10:30, and then your place in line was randomized if you were in the waiting room at that time, and the doors opened at 11 o'clock.
Wow.
Line, and you were
Yeah.
put in a place in line, and you had up to an hour wait to get into the digital store to buy.
Sounds like a
what-
GPU.
There's a whole
Line.
social movement out there happening that I'm completely unaware that's happening.
And then you get in and you find out, oh, it's Isabelle and Tom Nook.
And everybody left. Would love to see the queue numbers just go down.
The people who got in first were saying, they were posting, okay, guys, it's just Isabelle and Tom Nook, and it was.
But really, those are the popular ones, right? That's the face
They
that runs
are,
the
and
place.
Those are the most popular
They,
characters.
I think
yeah.
they sold out pretty much immediately. People, I'm sure not
Yeah.
everybody got one.
But I get it.
But yeah.
People
people
want
were
the
expecting a
character
little
that they either identify with or their favorite, or I get it.
Which, when you call it an Animal Crossing collection, you kind of think it's
You
grand.
think it was
Sure.
5?
Yeah, it's
At
like if
least.
they called it a Pokemon collection, it was just Bulbasaur and Pikachu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh
I
my
think
gosh.
they did kind of informally confirm on Twitter. I think somebody asked, "Will you be rolling out more, over time?" And I think the official account like kind of winked at them or something like that.
Sean with an important question.
But yeah, it was very funny. It was funny to see like the whole Animal Crossing community on fire.
I'm sorely upset that I missed that.
There's a whole big thing.
That tells you a lot about my Twitter.
How much of it is not that?
I
I'm
didn't
in
even
an
know
Animal
it was
Crossing
happening.
Group chat. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, I have an hour wait."
How much is it?
They were $50 each,
Okay.
For stuffed animals
not including the clothes and stuff.
that are like what, like this big?
They're like the standard Build-A-Bear size.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the big thing is you could choose to have it have like the little animal-y sounds like the.
Oh, really?
A little speaker.
Like a voice box.
Yeah.
I got a voice box for
Look at
Chucky.
Build-A-Bear.
That's creepy.
Oh gosh.
Really?
I'm good.
I
Yeah.
have a voice box for Chucky with licensed good guy batteries in it too. Yeah. Well, thanks guys. We're talking about Animal Crossing.
Sure.
You guys are all excited. I bring up the same thing, and you guys are like, weirdo. What a weirdo. They just released the new Chucky trailer for the thing that's coming out, and they showed the animatronic doll. And I looked at my wife. I was like, I want one. She was like, no.
You want to keep ordering?
It's like, could you imagine if I got one that's like remote controlled and could walk and stuff? Oh, that'd be amazing.
I would just be a horror movie in your house, man.
That's awesome. Now imagine if it was Animal Crossing. Now Rebecca's like, oh my god.
Isabel with a knife.
Ooh, Isabel with a knife. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Right next to Doom Guy. There we go.
that's
Good
awesome.
guy.
That's
Give
awesome.
Isabel a machine gun.
Let's do her all up like Chucky style, overalls and everything.
No.
Yeah, it's like
I mean,
Halloween.
you could, theoretically, you could. You could take the Build-A-Bear, the Isabel Build-A-Bear, and put Chucky clothes on her. You can do that.
That's good. I like it.
Just
right.
replace the voice box.
You're just frightening a kid, man.
So creepy. Okay. All right, questions. Oh, this is the one. Oh man, this is the one that I got lost in thought thinking about last week. You guys
Really?
were talking about Monster Hunter or something. I don't know.
Something I don't know. I wasn't listening.
Shiv UK. Okay. He says, I've been thinking about the possibility of a Zelda maker. Shiv, you and me both. Every single day of my life, I think about the possibility of a Zelda maker. I don't think that most people would be able to make whole dungeons. I think
I
it's more
agree.
work than a Mario level. I suspect Nintendo went too far in the other direction with Link's Awakening in order to make it easy and accessible. He says, how about a middle ground? Would you be happy with a game where people create and share rooms or a collection of connected rooms? These shares are tagged internally with metadata, things like needs 1 key or gives 2 keys or needs X item or item X. And the game stitches shares from multiple players together into a dungeon guaranteed to be solvable. A lot of procedurally generated roguelike games take a similar approach where rooms are pre-baked, but they change location and the connecting corridors are generated on the fly for each run.
I think procedurally generated Zelda dungeon makes a lot of sense. User created dungeons like this, I don't think make as much sense.
That would be too, I think.
Yeah, I think that's even more
Disconnected.
complex than asking somebody to create a whole dungeon.
And I agree with the flags. Like I think all right. I think with a dungeon maker, 2D Zelda dungeon maker, you'd have to limit rooms, right? You'd have to have a certain amount of rooms or like
Yeah.
a level, right? Like you'd have a level. You have a level with 4 rooms or whatever. And then like you could have like 3 requirements. Find the key, light the torch, beat the boss or something like that. And then like that's basically your mini dungeon. And I think that's the thing that that's the reason why I've always pushed back about this idea. And I think when people hear Zelda Dungeon Maker, they think they're going to make their own Zelda game. Like a
Yeah.
full dungeon, like 8 floors with the key to the door on the 8th floor being on the 2nd floor and all that. And like, I don't know. That just
see
sounds
why
really
not.
complex.
So the thing is if you think about Mario Maker, the vast majority of levels are way simple, like you hit a block and you get a mushroom and go to the end. Most people aren't going to play those levels. They're not going to seek them out. They're not going to show up in the most popular tabs. But there's people out there. I think there's plenty of people out there who are going to take the time to make really nice dungeon levels for this, the same way that they do for Mario Maker.
Oh, I definitely agree with you that there are people that would love to do it, and I think they would make great dungeons. I more or less question the engine to make it. Like with Mario,
There
you're
won't be every
confined.
single option to do with that you can do in Zelda Dungeons, but I don't think you have to limit it to 4 rooms type of thing. It might be simple things like, okay, you can place down enemies, you can find keys under pots, you can step on a switch to make a chest appear kind of thing. I think those aren't difficult or like complex enough to.
I agree with you. I guess.
play the game.
All right, so maybe rephrasing. I was thinking more like usually in a typical Zelda dungeon, you have multiple levels. Right? I was thinking of it
multiple
like that.
floors.
You've got multiple floors with multiple rooms with multiple win conditions. That's a lot for like a user to generate. Like I'm trying to figure out how do you not make the geometry like right, because I can see how you get a layout, you can click floor, add geometry. It's more like how do you weave that into like the dungeon, like the logic. How does the logic get created for like the keys to the doors and which floor? Like how do you make sure that it's playable, I guess?
So, do you think maybe then a middle ground that Shiv UK is suggesting could be not like single rooms like he's saying, but maybe you start with like a pre-made setup and then you can kind of change the
Customize it
around from there. So it's kind of like the Link's Awakening one, but it's I guess on a greater scale. Like it's
More
not
grand.
an existing room. It's maybe you're given a procedurally generated template and
Yeah.
then you kind of move
Yeah.
things around from there. So you're kind of given like a starting point if
Yeah.
you don't know. Like maybe you could either choose to start from scratch, or for people who are like, I don't know even where to begin, you can have like a template to start from and kind of move things around there.
I think
that's how
pretty good.
that's how PGA Tour's golf course creator thing works. You kind of give it some parameters and it spits you out a course and then you customize it from there.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that works for me,
Because
Rebecca.
and I think you're kind of thinking of like a technical scale of like how do you have the win conditions. I don't see why you can't say, okay, well, if you put a locked door, like you need to have a key to open it in order to, because you have to solve your own Mario Maker before you can post it online. So clearly you have to do that with a Zelda dungeon too.
Yeah.
Every time you like place a key, maybe you would say, okay, well that's associated with like this door or something like that.
Yeah, but if
Or-
you hide that key on the floor, you got to make sure the player can get there. It's that's like
You
the
have to
extra
play your
stuff.
you have to play your own dungeon
Sure.
to post it. Like
Yep.
I don't see anything wrong with that. Maybe when you like if you put down like let's say a button that you have to press, maybe to put that button down you have to say, okay, well that's going to spawn a chest or that's going to open this door. Like you assign an action once you put down an item.
And you're doing
I-
that with a controller.
I think that's fine. It's just I think the level of complexity in the Zelda game, it should be as granular as you want it, but as general and as pre-made for people to easily set in and make a dungeon maker. What I was thinking, you could make 4 floors or 8 floors or whatever if you choose to do so, but maybe you just want to do 1 floor and just do 6 rooms and just go from there and just try to do different things from there. I think not pre-built like stages, but pre-built rooms
Yeah.
with different items in there that are linked to whatever, and then you could try to change that link to other things and do so. if
Maybe
want.
you have
So that can
like-
give you a starting point at least.
like a
But that
set
wouldn't-
amount of like puzzle types.
puzzle types.
I don't like that you're limiting it, because I think that the creativity that people can come up with, like there's people that can do like design these, and I wouldn't want to say like, okay, well you're only limited to 6 rooms or you're only limited to like using 2 different puzzle types in a dungeon. If you want to like put that in a template for like people who want to have like a starting point, sure. People who like don't know how to design it, or people who are feeling overwhelmed or just kind of want to mess around with it, make that template. But people who want to design and kind of go out and all that, it shouldn't be limiting to them.
People
So I
will
like
make
what
them.
Garrett's saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
people will make them. Don't limit it. But maybe like what Garrett's saying is come up with a template or like a starting point, like you said, where maybe it's a smaller ground and then you can add more on top of it once you get more comfortable. No?
I feel like
think
every
about
time I
this
say
every
anything,
moment
it's
of
just
my
told
life.
no. So
I think
just,
about this every day of my life,
you
and
know
I don't
what?
think you give people
I'll just
enough
stop.
credit.
That's fine. I'll just back out of the conversation.
Well, we'll see it when we see
Not my
it, right?
conversation.
We'll see the dungeon maker.
I
if it
only
ever
aim to point
happens.
out that making a Zelda dungeon is not as simple and intuitive as making a Mario level.
I don't think everyone's making a traditional Zelda dungeon.
Yeah.
I
No,
think it's
but
going to be
I
as
don't
small or as big as you want.
It
Yeah.
sounds
Right.
like you haven't played a lot of really crappy Mario Maker levels.
I have,
Because
yeah.
they're out there. Like,
No, I
people
have.
don't know how to design a good Mario Maker level either.
Yeah, and it wasn't that I wasn't saying like limiting puzzles to a certain dungeon. I was thinking like within a Zelda dungeon, right? You have some sort of logic to open goals or gain access, but you also have puzzles and enemies, and you do have to those elements have to have rules for them to work.
Yes.
So like you have to have, it's no different than like Mario in the Mario Maker. You have the question block, and you've got certain power ups, and they are limited to what you've got. Now with Mario Maker 2, they've added tons of it. There's tons of stuff there, but I think with the Zelda, just the very nature of like, especially like the puzzles. I was thinking of the puzzles, and I'm thinking like, all right, so you've got the puzzles where you shoot the eye to unlock the door, or you light the torches, or you find the switch. Like, how many of those can you? Ultimately, what I'm trying to get at is I'm sitting in my head and I'm trying to think like, how much of this can you do before it like doesn't start feeling the same, right?
Oh, I mean, I see
what
what
I'm
you
saying?
mean. Like the different puzzle types. Like if you create so much of it, does it feel like it's not really?
Because the thing that
crafty
makes
Zelda
Zelda
dungeon?
special is that discovery, because it's custom made. Like
it's
so I-
tailor made.
like I was thinking like all right, so Ocarina of Time, right? You're in the Great Deku Tree, like right when you start, right? And you get the who are the guys that shoot the Deku nuts at you that pop out of the ground?
I know what you
Dig
mean.
Scrubs.
Yeah, the Deku Scrubs. Like you have to fight them in order, right? To unlock the door. Like you've got to do was it 2, 3, 1?
Okay, but you're not going to have that kind of puzzle.
Of course.
In the top-down.
And that's the only point I'm trying to make. Like things like that, obviously you couldn't do in this. So in my head, I'm just going through examples of like, okay, what things can you do?
Okay, but that would be like me saying, using Mario Odyssey as an example and saying, okay, well, how do you make a capture mechanic using Cappy? Like, that's not... Like,
That's
there's
fair.
Mario conventions that we don't see in Mario Maker.
Yeah.
So naturally, there's going to
Yeah.
be Zelda conventions that we don't see in Zelda Dungeon Maker.
I'm just a little bit. I'm just a little bit more
Wanting
questioning.
Could.
Yeah.
I think it's going to resemble games like the 2D Zeldas, like Link to the Past, Zelda 1, 2, Link Between
I agree.
I think it's going to restrict to those games.
Yeah.
Really, in those
Yeah,
Zelda
definitely.
dungeon assets.
And I think there's
so. That's all
enough.
that I want.
There's enough styles, right? You can have NES Zelda. You can have, Link to the Past Zelda, Link Between Worlds Zelda. Like you've got enough style that you can do it. You can have like gaps that you cross with the hook shot. You have things you have to shoot. So you have items like a bow and arrow and stuff like that. Ultimately, in my head, I'm trying to wrap my head around like how many variations can we get into this to where you don't play it for 5 hours and feel like you've played like all the dungeons, or kind of like when I think of like a roguelike, the procedurally generated, it's like it has a certain set of rooms and a certain set of rules, and you can mix and match them as much as you want, but at the end of the day, they all just kind of feel like the same. Like Binding of Isaac.
Yeah.
So in my
Binding
head-
of Isaac was very repetitive.
Like
yeah.
in my head,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking, like with this Zelda dungeon thing, and maybe that's just Link's Awakening, take on it, like influencing me. But in my head, I'm trying to think like, how do I break it out of that? How do I get it out of that mold?
Well, think about all of the creative Mario Maker levels that you've played. People make like songs out of it.
Yeah, it's
People
nuts.
design it based off
You're
of
right.
like other
You're right.
games. Like, the community will go nuts with this.
With
Things
the
that you
toolkit.
can't even comprehend. Yeah.
With the right toolkit, you're right. You're right.
And I think that they can do it in a way that's accessible to people who just kind of want to make a little puzzle type dungeon, or maybe like a boss rush type game. Maybe people just fill it with enemies. I don't know.
Oh
The
man,
boss
they
rush-
can make a boss rush mode like
Yeah,
Mega
boss
Man.
rush modes would work.
Yeah, you can, like, people can do, like, I think that there is a way to do this that's not going to be over, like, I don't think you give enough people credit for like what they can do.
It's not the people. It's not the people that I know that there are people out there that would spend 40 hours of their life creating the best dungeon that they ever could. It's not the people that I'm thinking about at all. I'm thinking about how does the Nintendo deliver a
Yeah.
toolkit to them that makes sense.
I think they can do it.
I think
I've
that
seen Mario-
complexity is a little bit more than Mario Maker. And I'm wondering, like at the Nintendo level, if that's what they're... Because obviously they have the idea.
It
We
is-
know they
it
have
is
the
more
idea.
complex. Yeah. And
So-
I think that's why they did the Link's Awakening one, to kind of see, well, okay, here's kind of what this would do, but then, they might be expanding on it somehow.
I honestly feel like, and I know this will never happen. I'm not saying this to say that. I feel like this makes a hell of a lot more sense on PC. right? Like with a mouse and a keyboard, and like it's like this works
That's
really
true.
well.
It does.
And then you can play it like on your controller,
I think there is kind of a similar. It's not called Zelda because copyright, but there is something that's just like that. That's basically Zelda that you can kind of create anything, and it works. You
Okay.
can do it.
Yeah.
I've seen mock-ups. I've seen Zelda mock-ups. I've seen how they could do it. I literally, honest to God, think about this game every single day. That's not an exaggeration.
Well, for your sake, I hope it happens. I really do.
Me too. I would be very interested in it.
Me too. Soundscape wants to know which game franchise has the better legacy of games, Zelda or Mario? Try to be as objective as possible. Things to consider are gameplay, graphics, and music compared to
Hey-
other games in their genres.
Hang on a second. I'm going to go back to the last question for a minute.
That's fine. Oh, well, I will talk about this for 3 more.
Let's
had a-
talk about it.
The thing just hit me in the brain. Okay. So I was thinking, you said, Garrett, you were like, I'm excited. I would be all excited for it. Rebecca said the same. And in my head, I'm like, I wouldn't be. But I'm sitting in my head and I'm trying to think, I'm like, and we've talked about this before, like the dungeon maker idea of like just endless dungeon is not something I want to do. But it just hit me. I was like,
Yeah.
unless they did like an actual story Zelda game. Like what if they had a small campaign Zelda game and the dungeon maker? And then what just hit me is, what if you could Four Swords it? What if you could do co-op or something? And what if that was a part of your thing?
Yeah. Except, get the toolkit out of the way. Do kind of the extra stuff. The single player, maybe the Four Swords. That could.
That's not a terrible thing to tack on to something like a Four Swords or a
I think that
Triforce
would be
Heroes or something like that.
Yeah. That would be a
Right? You
great
play the
introduction.
game, you introduce the mechanics and stuff like that. You let people play solo or play with friends, and then we have this other thing. Now you've got a really cool $60 package, I
Yeah.
think.
I just really wouldn't want it to be the side thought to another Zelda game the way the Link's Awakening was.
Of course not. Yeah, that's not what we're saying. We're thinking I'm thinking Mario Maker 2, which had an awesome little campaign,
Yeah.
and then also had Mario Maker.
And teach you how
But, like,
how to place things.
And the entire time that we've talked about this Dungeon Maker thing, it just until now, did I have the thought like you could have multiplayer, like even in custom created
yeah,
stuff, you could have
there's-
more than one player stuff.
Multiplayer in Mario Maker, right?
Yeah, they added the online multiplayer.
So
I was just even
theoretically, they
thinking
could.
like Four Swords, like co-op puzzles. That
be
would
cool.
be a whole separate thing because you could tag those types of courses, right? Like these are made for multiplayer, these aren't. But like that would add, I think, a level to the. That would add a level to the game that would
add
maybe
variety.
variety.
For sure.
This is what, and that's really what I'm trying to get at in my head. I'm trying to get out of the
Yeah.
procedural
I
generator.
think so too.
Okay, I like it. You might be turning me around to it. I like it. I want to be Purple Link.
Someday. I want to be red.
Back to Soundscape's question. Better franchise, Zelda or Mario?
Legacy.
That'd be
Okay, he did not say better franchise. He said
Sure.
which is
Legacy.
a better legacy. That's
Okay.
the very important distinction.
Okay, I'm going to argue for Team Mario.
I'm gonna argue for Team Zelda.
Okay, I just
Am
want to
I
make
the
sure that we had one on
tiebreaker
each side. I like it.
Okay.
Garrett, do you want to make an argument for either
No,
one?
no,
Do you want to
no,
argue
no.
for Donkey Kong?
All right, guys. The legacy of Donkey Kong Country. 1, 2, and 3. Let's go, guys. Guys, I want to hear your arguments first because
Okay.
I haven't played.
You can
all
be
of
the
Mario.
moderator.
I'm the moderator in this. You guys do get out.
Okay. All right, so he says to be as objective as possible. So I'm going to try my
Yeah.
best here. I'm going to make the case for Mario. So my first case, when it comes to legacy, right, and that's all we're talking about. I mean, I think it's quite frankly really hard to argue against the legacy of any game compared to Mario. I mean, Mario is video games, right? He's the Mount Rushmore of video games. It's the most identifiable character in video games. He has the longest history of games that appeal and are sold to so many more people than I'm not just taking Zelda, for any franchise really. I mean, it's up there with the best of the very best ever. That aside, we've also seen the Mario franchise evolve into so much more than what it ever was, right? You have the 2D Mario, the classic thing, but then Mario went 3D, ushered in a whole new generation. We've seen Mario do sports. He's a doctor. He's a constructor. Like, he does everything. He's the Barbie of video games. Like, it is everything. And as much as I love Zelda, and trust me, it pains me to ever be put in a position where I'm arguing against the Zelda game. As much as I love it, Nintendo would not be Nintendo if it were not for Mario in a way unlike any other franchise they have.
Yeah.
Okay, you took it in a different direction because I was kind of only thinking of main series games. I wasn't really thinking of like a franchise as a whole. I was thinking of kind of the legacy of like the main series games. I
okay.
wasn't really thinking of like the Mario Karts because you do have a very good argument for like how it's reached out to like the sports games and party games and things like that. I was thinking kind of more of the main series, the same arguments for Zelda. How to me when I think of most like Mario games, it's very samey to me. Same type of puzzles, same type of platforming, same type of music, same type of characters and whatnot, same type of story, with some variations. But to me, I feel like the main series Zelda games have a legacy of it appeals to any type of gamer because of how many different types of games the series has had. We've had the top-down games, we've had the open world games, we've had time travel. Like, there's so many different types of Zelda games, and I think the fact that everybody has like a different favorite Zelda game, which you could say for Mario too, but I feel like it reaches a broader type of player kind of thing, and you see things like the timeline and just kind of like the lore and the story that you don't see in things that Mario has. If you're talking about non-main series and Mario Kart, all of that is thrown out the window because Mario definitely has that broad
And we don't have to have cross-examination. I don't have to disagree with you. I will concede that when it
very
comes
hard.
to
There's no doubt in Mario's legacy of
when it
simply,
comes to
like,
music,
doing
I would
that.
concede that Zelda's my favorite in the franchise. I don't think Mario's
Yeah.
music is all that memorable.
It's
I mean,
fine.
there is
Like,
memorable music. Don't get me wrong. Like, there are certain themes, Super Mario 3, Super Mario World. There are certain themes and things like that. But yeah, I think those are good arguments. What do you think, Garrett?
I just think of like
It's a draw. Both win.
It is a
They
draw.
really
They're
do.
both really good. I don't want to say one's better than the other, really.
Graphics, like to me, Mario, it's like all samey. Like maybe it's because I didn't grow up with it, and there's not.
As I
Like,
say,
a
I
big
think that's a
connection in my
recency
head.
thing. Yeah,
Maybe
because it's changed a lot from.
Because Zelda really goes and like touches every single thing. Like it really pushes
That's
the
true.
limits for like what kind of styles, what kind of story,
Zelda
what
is
kind of
definitely-
gameplay. The gameplay changes.
Zelda's
There's
definitely
different genres of
Nintendo's hardcore game. Like that's its core gamer game. Like Mario isn't meant to like, tax the gamer and teach them new ways to play and everything. Mario is more like comfort food in a way that
It is,
a
yeah.
Pac-Man or a Tetris is. You
It
just
feels
play
like
Mario.
probably feels like home for a lot.
Yeah,
of
you just play Mario. It's just then that's kind of how amazing it is. It went from just Mario Bros to what it is now. It's just kind of accepted as such. Like there is, and you're right. I was thinking when he was talking about the legacy of the franchise, I was thinking more of just like its general appeal.
It's reach.
Yeah, like the fact that like you just slap Mario on something and it becomes a thing. Like its appeal to kids, as a way that like Zelda, as much as I enjoyed Zelda as a kid, not everybody I know was like that. Whereas I think everybody I know is aware of or has played Mario. And played a lot of it actually. My wife's played Mario, and I remember she always tells me the story. She played Super Mario World at the kids that she babysat. She's never allowed to have video games, but she's played Mario, and she played a lot of it. And she knew several levels. She's never tried or attempted or even would try a Zelda game now. It's a whole different level of complexity.
I feel like Zelda has kind of a big reach to things like music and art and writing and things like that. Like they had the Symphony of the Goddess. Like Mario could never. I personally, maybe it's just my bubble on Twitter and things like that, but I see way more like Zelda art than Mario art. Like I see way more, kind of creativity, like fan theories and stuff when it comes to Zelda.
There's
That's
a
'cause-
hardcore community
Beyond,
with
like-
Zelda.
Well, Mario
People
doesn't
think-
have
People think
lore.
about this beyond the games.
There's no lore to Mario really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like, okay, you play the game and then you're done with the game. Whereas Zelda, it's a conversation that people continue to have years and years and years after. People are still coming up with theories about Majora's Mask, and people are still, like there's fan fiction of this.
I'm
Is
thinking
there
I'm like
Mario
the Zelda
fan
argument
fiction?
more than the Mario argument, just because the way the question was phrased, the better
Mm-hmm.
legacy of games, like aside from the Mario, the side Mario games that
There's no
we
doubt
talked about.
Mario
The-
stands that test of time as an
Right.
important game.
But Zelda's so rich with like variety in terms of gameplay, in terms of puzzles, in terms of story, in terms of music. Like it's all over the place, I think. And so I just think when I think of a legacy of mainline games, I rather go to the Zelda games than just play like, oh, this is just another
be clear,
Mario game.
To be clear, if I had to pick one or the other, I'm picking a Zelda game too.
Yeah.
Just making the case for the other one. I do think that I think the lore part, the fan fiction, the constant conversation stuff, I think that has more to do with the fact that Zelda's like a core gamer. It's not indifferent than like a Skyrim, right? Or a Halo or like that type of game, whereas Mario's not that game. You don't have Tetris fan fiction. But to argue Tetris's legacy as a game, be hard pressed. It's like on every system that's ever been made ever.
For sure.
You know.
We do have Mario fan fiction, Bowsette.
Yeah, we do have Bowsette.
My God.
Bowsette wins.
There we go.
Stop it.
And there's an Et character apparently for every Mario character.
People are very imaginable, very creative.
Yeah, I think that's you could make a very good argument for both of those. I think those are definitely the.
I mean, it's
crap Nintendo.
And what really drives Nintendo is that they own both.
And there's like, we're good.
It really doesn't matter what they do as long as they continue to hold the IP rights to Mario and Zelda. Like they're probably okay.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Don't need any other game. Those two are good.
Yep. And Pokemon. Dear Lord.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine the day that they start putting Pokemon on other consoles and like PC and stuff? That could happen someday.
Weird.
I really, honest to God, think
It would
that
take
could happen.
Nintendo selling their stock. They'd have to get out of it.
It was for like mainline console games, yeah.
The only way I think that would happen is if they went mobile. I could see a mainline game just going mobile. I could see that.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I'm actually surprised that they've had enough restraint not to port the old ones like directly to mobile. Like, hey, Pokemon Red is now playable with touch controls on your phone for
I
I mean,
Really
$5.99.
people
really
do
good.
it anyway. Why
I know
not
they
just,
do.
Like, start getting people to pay for it. Like that's money.
And it's Pokemon Home, and it's all that. And I think the big reason why they don't, and at least in the console space, is Nintendo. They own 33%. They have a third of the share. Like you can't do it without them. So I think the idea that a Pokemon game ever makes its way to PlayStation is a reality in which Nintendo has sold the rights. Yeah.
Maybe. Last question. Alex says, after the huge sales numbers of Monster Hunter Rise, is it time for Sega to release a full Persona game like 5 Royal to the Switch? Persona 5 Scramble is neat, but the real one would be huge. I'm still hesitating playing it on my PS4. It's on my shelf untouched because I want it on my Switch.
Okay. So the way this question is presented, because of the huge sale numbers of Monster Hunter Rise, I wanted to stop right there with you, because Monster Hunter and its franchise, I think, is its own beast with Nintendo. It has.
It's also always sold well.
It's
for
also
like a long time.
Of course, in Monster Hunter World, like kind of blew out of the water with the other consoles as well. So you can't really compare that with Persona franchise, because that's like apples and oranges right there. The level of success with Monster Hunter, it should be on like what's going on right now. Like 5 now would be like 10 million.
I don't think they're like
maybe.
blown away. I don't think they're like, oh my god, we sold 5 million copies. I think that was the goal.
No, that was expected. Now for a Persona game to release, what I think I want to see Atlas do to that is actually not start with 5 Royal just out of the gate, because I think you're blowing up your Top Gun on Switch with 5 Royal. I think you should really start with like the previous games first, like Persona 3 and Persona 4 Golden. They recently ported Persona 4 Golden onto Steam, and they actually made some pretty good sales
blew
on
up.
that. Yeah, it
They
blew
could have
up.
sold it for twice as much as they did. They sold it for cheap, and it still made them a ton of money.
Yeah, 500,000 copies on Steam alone.
At $20 a piece. They could have sold
20
the same thing at like $35 a piece easy.
Exactly. And now Monster Hunter Rise is now sold more than Persona 5 and 5 Royal together. And together, I think it's like 4 million sales on PS4. 4 to 4.5 million, I think. And so maybe get the Nintendo fans familiar with the Persona base first. I like that they put Scramble in there. That's a cool addition. now put in Persona 3 and 4 to get just like used to the characters and games. And there were Persona Q and Q2 on 3DS, so some people are recognizing the characters there as well. And then pull up your Top Gun with Persona 5 Royal maybe a year later and make it a full blown out, making sure that you maximize all the sales that you want in there. And I think they'll get a pretty good dime. I think actually Persona Scramble, I saw like it was like 30% of their sales was Switch. It was like a franchise that they're not really closely related to.
Didn't it sell pretty light? I feel like I think 2 weeks after the game came out, I was reading things that they had sold pretty light.
I'm not sure about later, but I know initially in Japan, like 30% of the sales was from Switch compared to PS4. And get the dancing games in there. Like put everything in there slowly and gradually. Don't like put everything at once. I wouldn't put Persona 5 Royal right then and there, but like just gradually put in that franchise into Switch, and I think they're gonna hit a home run with the Switch platform.
I like how you laid it out. I think it makes a lot of sense. I will say though, I think if they put a Persona game that's not 5 on Switch, I think a lot of the Persona fans will immediately be like, but why not 5? Like it's 4, it's so old, but why not 5? I understand exactly the reason why you're laying it out. But I think a lot of people will double buy if it's there. So I wouldn't be opposed to them just doing it all. Just put it all out there at different price points and just throw it at the wall and see what sticks. But to Alex, I will say that in a lot of the forums that I follow, this has been something that's been going on for the last 2 months, pretty strong.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's nothing concrete to point to outside of some credible people who have had some credible track records, and they swear that Persona 5 is coming to other platforms, most notably Xbox. But I imagine if it's leaving PlayStation, that it will come to Switch as well. So I'm not going to be stunned or shocked at all. I think Persona is going to find its way to other consoles shortly, because I think the PC port. I mean, they said it. I don't think it. That's what they said.
They literally, yeah.
Yeah, because it's hard to. It's a huge successful franchise, right? But as you said, with those 2 releases, as you said, 4 million. Yeah. It's not like a juggernaut like some people might think it is because of how loud and how penetrating some of its art and characters and stuff like that is, maybe on socials and stuff like that. So I think maybe they were surprised by
they were surprised that there was a lot more
PC
sales
showing.
on other.
There's a lot more demand for it than what they originally thought.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it may not come this year just because Shin Megami Tensei 5 is coming out this year. And you don't want those franchises to go over. Like, Persona is a side franchise from Shin Megami Tensei. So, spread it all out, I think. And I think
makes
we'll
good business sense. Anything, Rebecca?
No.
I love it. One word response.
Okay, that'll do it for us this week here in the Nintendo Shack. Thank you, Shackers, for dropping by, listening to another episode. We'll catch you next week after we play much, much more Pac-Man 99. We encourage you all to do the same, because remember, the pack is back. So, with all that being said...
way too late playing it.
One
more game.
With all that said, that's going to do it for us this week. Catch you next week. Good night, Kooplings.
Bye-bye.